Hello everyone, welcome back to Forecast. In today's video, I'm going for my championship predictions for game week 34, and I'm going to start off with Blackburn at home to Bristol City. Blackburn are starting to get into some form, picking up 2 wins in a row, and they're currently 5 points above the relegation zone. Looking at Bristol City, and their form's mixed going into this game. They just lost their last game to Swansea and they drew to Wrexham. I think for this game, I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw between Blackburn and Bristol City. So then we've got Hull at home to Derby. I've been disappointed with Hull recently. They're going through a bit of a bad patch. In their last 3 games, they haven't picked up a win. And before that, they picked up a win against Blackburn, but they weren't that convincing in that game. Looking at Derby County, their form's mixed going into this game. They just lost away to Watford. This season, Derby's away record's been really impressive, and so is Hull's. Hull are the home side though for this game. I'm fancying a Derby away win. I think they're going to bounce back, and I don't think Hull are. They're starting to sort of slip down the championship table. I'm going to go with a big 2-1 away win for Derby in this game. So then we've got the next game, which is between Borough and Leicester. Borough absolutely need to get something from this game, and you know Gary Rowett, the new Leicester manager, will make it really difficult for them. They look good in that game against Stoke. Mukasa, the new signing and on loan from Manchester City, has looked outstanding so far, picking up a goal and assist in that game, and he should have had more goal contributions, and he's going to be crucial for Leicester in terms of keeping them in the league. Leicester's form going to this game is awful though. They haven't won in their last 7 games. Looking at Borough were flying in the championship, but they had been halted with a draw and a loss in their last 2 games, and they're desperate for a win in this one. And we saw in the game against Oxford, you can keep Borough out from scoring, which will be Gary Rowett's goal for this game. I do think though Borough will win this game over Leicester. I just think they've got too much quality, and I think Hallberg will be desperate for a win. I'm going to go over 2-1 win for Borough over Leicester in this game. So then we've got the next game, which is between Swansea and Preston. Preston's form going to this game is very average. They just lost to Blackburn. Swansea's form is good going into this game, and they've been really difficult to beat at home. And they're now 6th place on the home championship table. And I do fancy Swansea for another win in this game. Vipopnik up front is the leading championship goal scorer right now, and he was crucial in that last game, and he's often been the difference for Swansea this season, his clinical finishing up front. I think for this game, I'm going to go with a 2-0 win for Swansea over Preston. Preston recently have been struggling to put the ball in the back of the net. So then we're on to the next game, which is between Watford and Ipswich. And Ed Steele picked up his first win as Watford manager, and Watford's first win since New Year's. A huge 3 points for Watford that was over Derby. And they're at home for this game against Ipswich. And Ipswich are struggling right now in the championship, and their form is very mixed going into this game, and they're desperate for a win. They need to go up automatically with the amount of quality they have in their side, and right now it doesn't look very likely. Ipswich's away form is concerning. They are 14th place on the away table, and for this reason, I'm going to go over 2-2 draw between Watford and Ipswich. I could see Ipswich sort of leading 2-1 in this game, and then they throw it away. We've seen recently with Ipswich, they're struggling defensively, but they are scoring goals away from home. So then we've got West Brom at home to Charlton. This has to be Eric Ramsey's first win as West Brom manager if he's in charge for this game, because he's under severe pressure right now, as he should be in my opinion. He hasn't won in the 8 games in charge so far, and that's resulted in West Brom being 21st place in the championship, so close to that relegation zone. And this is a big opportunity against a beatable Charlton side. Charlton on their away form this season are in 20th place, so it's not great. Looking at some of the stats going into this game, West Brom and Charlton recently have been struggling to put the ball in the back of the net. West Brom have only scored 1 goal in their last 5 games in all competitions, and that goal was in the Cup. Looking at Charlton, it's better. They have scored 5 goals in their last 5 games. I see a low scoring draw for this game, or sort of a scrappy 1-0 win either way, but I am going to go with a 0-0 draw between West Brom and Charlton. This just feels like such a 0-0 game. Charlton can draw 0-0 at times, and West Brom have drawn 0-0 recently twice. If it does end in 0-0, then I don't think that's good enough for Eric Ramsey to keep his job. West Brom are desperate for 3 points in this game. So then we're on to the next game, which is between Wrexham and Portsmouth. I've been really impressed with Portsmouth recently in terms of their performances. They've just picked up 6 points on the road against Millwall and Charlton. They've got another away game against Wrexham, so they should be confident going into this game. And they are now 6 points clear of the relegation zone, and I think Portsmouth will be fine. Looking at Wrexham, it was a big win for Wrexham against Ipswich, winning 5-3. This game did show that Wrexham have the ability to concede goals, but they also have the ability to definitely score goals. And Wrexham's form's been decent going into this game. I think this is probably one of the harder games to call. I think I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw between Wrexham and Portsmouth. I'm not hugely confident about that prediction though. I could definitely see all 3 results. So then we've got the next game, which is between Southampton and QPR, and Southampton's form going into this game is good, but they'll be disappointed with that result against Charlton, drawing 1-1. Looking at QPR, I really struggle to predict QPR games. They're a very inconsistent side. For example, recently they got a massive win away at Hull, but then they lost to Blackburn at home, then they drew 0-0 with Charlton. So you can pretty much get any result with QPR. I think though for this game, I'm going to go with the Southampton win. Southampton, despite drawing against Charlton, were very good in that first half. They were disappointing in the second half, but I still back them to win against QPR in this game. Sens is going to be really important as usual. I'm going to go with a 3-1 win for Southampton in this game. I think they lead 2-1, and then in the last 10 minutes, Southampton add a 3rd goal on the break. So then we've got a massive championship game between Millwall and Birmingham, 2 sides that are pushing for playoffs at a minimum, and in Millwall's case, they will be looking at the automatic spots, and Millwall need to respond after the loss at home to Portsmouth. Birmingham have been good recently, and what's been so important for Birmingham is the away form has turned around. This is what was letting them down early in the season, and now all of a sudden it has started to improve. They were poor, I thought, in the second half against Norwich, and they were lucky to get 3 points because Beadle made some crucial saves, but it's still 3 points on the road for Birmingham. I think for this game, I'm going to go with a Millwall win, though. I think they respond after that loss. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win for Millwall. I expect this to be a really tight game between these 2 sides. I think they're quite evenly matched. So then we're on to the next game, which is between Norwich and Wednesday. This is being recorded before the Steel City derby, so Wednesday will most likely be relegated. Looking at Norwich, I've been really impressed with Norwich under Clement. They've been a completely different side under him. They did lose their last game against Birmingham, and that was because of how poor they were in the first half. But despite not turning around the result, they were much better in the second half. And let's be honest, it's going to have to be a Norwich win. I can't see Wednesday getting anything from this game. I'm going to go with a 3-0 win for Norwich over Wednesday. And I think Toure will score a goal for Norwich in this game. So then we're on to the next game, which is between Sheffield United and Coventry. Definitely a test for Coventry in this game, going to Bramall Lane. And I think this is maybe one of the games where you say, from a Coventry point of view, where a point probably isn't a bad result. They could afford to drop a point here for a draw because they've now created a bit of a gap between them and 3rd place after 2 crucial wins against Oxford and Borough. looking at Sheffield United, they're probably going to be happy after their Steel City derby win. But I don't think they'll win this game against Coventry, but I don't think they'll lose. I think this could be one of the games of the season. These are two sides that score a lot of goals. Sheffield United score a lot of goals at home. Coventry have the ability to score a lot of goals. So I'm going to go with a 3-3 draw between Sheffield United and Cov. I think this could be a really good game and one definitely worth watching. So finally, we've got Stoke at home to Oxford. I've probably saved one of the worst games on the list for the end. These are two sides who are in crap form going into this game and are really struggling. Stoke have a large injury list as well. Oxford were good in their last game away at Borough, picking up a point, but that's been the problem. They haven't been able to convert any of those draws into wins, and that's why they're currently 5 points behind West Brom in the Championship. They're looking likely to go down. I think this is going to be an awful game to watch. I really do. I'm going to go with a 0-0 draw between Stoke and Oxford, but Oxford have to win this game in my opinion. Let me know your thoughts on these Championship predictions. What are your predictions? And if you enjoy this video, subscribe to the channel as well as liking the video.